what would you describe as a chaotic situation in the context of Africa? What would frustrate the creation of a solid working partnership?
Well, I think there are a number of countries on our continent, where the investment into the health sector is very, very weak. Not that the money is not basically available, but there needs to be more investment coming from the national side. And if this investment in leadership, in actually putting and aligning the plan to the national priorities, let me get the very example. We have countries where we have a national health plan, very well developed, very well written. But when it comes to implementation, nothing from the national health plan is actually implemented. Every donor comes with, or every partner comes with his own plan, does a little bit of here, does it here, and no one looks at the national plan at all.
That's interesting. So you have a situation where, oh gosh, should I mention names? But you have a situation where these people show a willingness to participate, but they craft their agendas wherever they are, if it's Seattle, Washington, or wherever, and then try to implement that in Africa with very little involvement of this government.
I wouldn't be saying we have very little involvement, because everybody is involved, including national authorities themselves when it's chaotic.
Right.
But it's almost like if the government does not set the plan from the beginning and sticks to the plan and call everybody to order when they're going out of line, this is where we have a problem.
Yeah, so the argument for a lot of people to put money directly into small organizations in government has always been that there are a lot of leakages and people are frustrated by the fact that the money isn't directed to the projects they're meant to go to. The resources are not directed to those projects. And so you have a situation where, again, and then there are also people in government who have no scruples and are happy to help themselves to this money because...
Sure, but the problem is the word that you just mentioned. It's a project. It shouldn't be a project. It's a program. That's why we have a national plan. So if you keep funding project and not the national health plan, well, we're ending up in chaos, because the project will only be small scale in a specific district, not able to scaling it up at the larger level, and it will not be yielding in those results which we would like to have.
So what are you proposing as a solution?
It needs to be a national plan. Everybody should be following the national plan. It should be eventually basket funds so that everybody pools those funds together to actually support the national plan.
Right.
And at this end, the leadership of the countries should be at the driving seat, not the donor. Because sometimes we have donors who are very, very powerful, come with a lot of money and saying, okay, I have 300 million, but this is what I want for you to do.
So what do you say to them? Do you say them get lost if you won't follow our plan?
Government should be saying them. Government should be telling.
Government should be saying that, yes, get lost, keep your money, we don't want it, we could use it.
I don't think that this would be the appropriate way, but there is a diplomatic way of telling them, please, buy into our national plan.
I'm not a diplomat, is that what we should be seeing happening? Government turning away resources just because we need the money, though. How do you reconcile the two?
But I think Ahmed said it from the beginning. We should be having our own solution adapted to the African continent. So a plan cannot be developed in Seattle. It cannot be developed in New York.
Dr. Shongwe, you want to jump in? Oh, sorry, Ms. Shongwe.
Yeah, I think.
And let's also acknowledge Dr. Sal, who's very patiently waiting. I haven't forgotten about you. Yeah, no, go ahead. Come, please.
No, I just wanted to say that I think he shared very strongly.
It cannot be developed in Seattle. It cannot be developed in New York.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
There's a very strong example. That he shared, where a government has a very clear terms and conditions and basically says, if you're going to bring in money, Global Fund or PEPFAR, who bring millions, and we thank them for that money, it goes into our budget support. It goes directly into the budget of the country and then is managed that way. So not in parallel and not outside. And so there are governments who have been able to direct that. And I think too many of us are scared of that. But if you look at the way funding happens, like in the AIDS response, we have countries like South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, who fund over 80% of their ARVs. And their response in general. So they control it. And then we have other countries who have barely 20% or 30% of their countries. And in those countries, I think we have to provide for them a framework for how to do business.
Okay, but we're making the assumption that the countries know what is best, or what is, we're assuming that the countries know what they're doing.
Of course, we have to make that assumption. But I mean, the reasons that countries struggle to not knowing what to do is because of balancing these different partnerships. You know, somebody's putting 300 million on the table. How do I tell them to get lost? Or how do I tell them, I need the money?
I would develop a plan really quickly. Believe me, I'd absorb that money.
Yeah.
We'd work out a deal. We'd work out a deal that works for all of us. But I don't want to trivialize what is a very important point you're making. But I also recognize Dr. Sall has been waiting very patiently. And Dr. Sall, you're managing a very important project in Senegal at the Pasteur Institute. Just briefly tell us what you're doing and how you've been able to form partnerships that are actually working for you. We'd work out a deal that works for all of us. But I don't want to trivialize what is a very important point you're making. But I also recognize Dr. Sall has been waiting very patiently. And Dr. Sall, you're managing a very important project in Senegal at the Pasteur Institute. Just briefly tell us what you're doing and how you've been able to form partnerships that are actually working for you. We'd work out a deal that works for all of us. But I don't want to trivialize what is a very important point you're making. But I also recognize Dr. Sall has been waiting very patiently. And Dr. Sall, you're managing a very important project in Senegal at the Pasteur Institute. Just briefly tell us what you're doing and how you've been able to form partnerships that are actually working for you. Okay, I think we might be having a technical issue. Hopefully, are we able to connect with him at all? At all? Okay. Dr. Sall, can you hear us? Because he's been waiting. It's really important that we bring him in. I'm going to try that one more time.
Thank you very much, and sorry for all these technical discussions. I just wanted to Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, thankfully.
Yes, I was just saying that we are actually managing, our project is in line with what Africa CDC, WHO, and our own government are actually trying to achieve in line with vaccine equity, which is building capacity to do 300 million doses of vaccines for COVID and other different vaccines, and trying to do that with a continental vision, where the purpose is really not just to do manufacturing, but to do also the regulatory part attached to it, human capital development, R&D, in the straight vision to be self-sufficient. Now, coming about the partnership, I think the partnership we've been deciding and discussing has been done mostly through the government, because you have some partners that are supporting Senegal for this vision. And we have partners like the European Investment Bank, the European Union, the DFC, the IFD from France, and the World Bank and the IFC. And the way we're trying to work with all these is through a coordinated manner by having one coordinator, which is in that sense IFC. And what we're trying to do here when it comes to coordinating the partner is really to make sure that we are very clear on our vision, and with the government agreeing with us on the very clear objectives. And then on a regular basis, we discuss the project we're doing and how we monitor and go through the process. So I think that's what we have been doing so far. It has not always been easy because of different procedure and timing, but so far I can say we have been doing quite well with them.
Right. Dr. Sall, thank you very much. I wonder, what sort of ambition are you dealing with here? How ambitious are you with this project at the moment? Where do you want to take it? And what do you need to do in order to get to where you aspire to go? Okay, how's it looking? what's your ambition? Where do you want to take this project? What do you need to get it there?
So I did not hear the question.
Okay, how's it looking?
How active I am in the program of IPD?
Right. What's your ambition? Where do you want to take this project? What do you need to get it there?
Yeah, the real ambition of this project is really to...
Okay, how's it looking?
Yeah, the real ambition for this project is really to be able actually to contribute to African needs when it comes to vaccine and to build self-sufficiency where we could have regional hub that would actually serve the African need when it comes to pandemic, to epidemics, as well as routine immunizations. And the way we're going to get there is mainly through three different main pillars. Number one is really to have a very good coordination with other African manufacturer and in link with African Union, because this has to be done in a concerted way, because if you want to cover the different needs and shape the market properly, we have to make sure that we discuss and talk and find a mechanism platform by which we can go through. Number two is really when we talk with partners, we have to have a common vision of what we're trying to do, because most of the time, what we can feel, we have problems when we are not very clear on what is the vision and where we're going to go with that. Because this is sort of long-term partnership, because the loan or the sort of support we have is not for like 2 or 3 years. These are engagement for several years. So being on the same page on the main objective and how we're going to monitor our time is something quite important. And the last thing is really to have a strong leadership. And not only in the project, but also at the political level, because this is an agenda that is being driven to reach the objective of 60% of local manufacturing by 2040. And this is like, meaning like long term, and in this new public health order vision, this is something that we can have to do in a very respectful partnerships and make sure that while we are doing that, we are also bringing African needs under control.
Thank you very much. Let's give him a round of applause. That's a very important point. We have just under 4 minutes left, and there's a Rwandese phrase, agaciro. Who knows what that means? Agaciro. Minister, what is agaciro? Value, but an alternative translation would be dignity. And I think this is an important part of this conversation. We're talking about respect, but there is also an element about the dignity of the African. This is something that was emphasized in Larry's conversation with Dr. Ahmed Okwel, because again, we can't just have guys showing up with their money and telling us what to do, can we? We need to be able to have, because it also has an impact on our dignity. And I just want to finish there by giving you a few seconds each to just think about how to form partnerships at this point that are dignified and respectful for everybody.
Well, I think I start by saying that the word partnership is very easy to say, but it requires a lot of work to actually build strong,
like
respectful. Yes, like some marriages. Yeah, like effective marriages. Yes. But it requires really an investment in building the partnership and a belief that without the partnership, there is not going to be an impact, and particularly there's not going to be a durable impact. And I feel that we say the word very quickly, but we don't invest the time and the effort into building and engaging these partnerships. And it means from day one, reaching for partnership from day one. You don't come to it at the end or in the middle. You start from day one. You engage and try to first understand what the country's priorities are. You work in finding ways in which to complement the priorities in the country and support the countries to reach their own aspirations.
Right. Okay.
I think that's the way to do it, and it's hard work.
Yeah.
And it's hard work, and it's a commitment.
All right, let's give our round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Ms. Shongwe.
Thank you. I think that as we learn from the partnerships of the past that have succeeded, we have to bring governments together with our civil society partners, media, everybody.